The stage is set. The NLCS is set. The Dodgers will be playing the Brewers in a 2018 NLCS rematch, if you want to call it that. Anyways, we're doing a series preview here today on All Dodgers. And that's you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast. We hit some man. Happy Sunday afternoon to everybody. My name is Clint Pasillas. Find me as Real FRG on the social media machines. All Dodgers is presented by FanDuel, part of the Bleav Network of podcasts. And joining me today are the boys. We got Jeff Snyder in the middle at Snydog, and all the way stage right is Skinner7 Kevin on the Twitter. Kevin Skinner, if you're trying to ask him for money legally. Gentlemen, the Cubs were downed by the Brewers. The best team in the National League is playing for the pennant against the Los Angeles Dodgers, the best team in our hearts. We've had a couple of days off. We got one more day off, and then we're playing meaningful baseball again. Jeffrey, how are you feeling? Jefferson, how are you feeling about this one?
I am excited for baseball that matters to start back up tomorrow, but it has been a nice little break. Honestly, I told you guys I couldn't decide who I wanted between the Brewers and the Cubs, partly because ever since 2019, I've learned be careful what you ask for, because I was excited about the Dodgers playing the Nationals, Yeah. And then that didn't work out. And so I just, my opinion going in was I think the Dodgers are a better team than both the Cubs and the Brewers, and they'll have to do it on the field. And so in the end, you look at it and, yeah, I'm excited for it. I do think the Dodgers are the better team, which we'll cover some of the reasons why in this episode. And ready for baseball.
Yeah, Kevin, on paper, by money, the Dodgers far and away have the better rosters, the better talent. However, Brewers won a lot of games this year. They are a talented team. You got some numbers. We'll dive into those. But what's kind of your high level, I guess, baseline feeling heading into this series?
Brewers are a good team. They do everything well. I mean, they have some strengths.
Great word, well.
For sure. Yeah. But they don't really have any or many weaknesses, I would say. They're just a really well put together team. They play good team baseball, fundamentally sound. If the Dodgers are going to win, they're going to have to win, which I know sounds redundant, but they're going to have to not beat themselves, because the Brewers sure as heck won't do that.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that. I had a conversation about that with the crowd yesterday. Our buddy Ken Wolcott had brought it up, and I was like, "Are you Jeff Snyder wearing a wig right now, Ken?" Because that's something Jeff you like to say. It's like, as long as the Dodgers don't beat themselves, they are going to be in a pretty good spot. The Dodgers have been mostly playing good baseball this postseason, outside of Emmett Sheehan kind of muffing a ball, a little bit of PFP work. Muncy, he had himself a game, and of course right field and sort of the revolving door of Benny Hill music going on there, but. Like Kevin said, it is the Brewers they play very solid baseball. It is a well operated, run organization. At least from that manager seat, Pat Murphy has been very, very good at his job getting these dudes to buy in, and not a lot of stars. Absolutely not a lot of stars on that team. What the biggest name is outside of Contreras, I guess, is Mizorowski, who is a rookie.
Christian Yelich is still name, and he had a resurgent season. He's a name from the past. Jackson Chourio is a budding star, but it's a lot of guys who you can picture 5 years from now being big names more than guys who are big names right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get in a little bit into the series here. Of course, the Dodgers 93 wins on the season, Brewers 97 wins. When they did face off against one another this season, the Dodgers were swept 0-6 against the Brewers, and people are not going to, of course, be exceptionally happy about that. But the last time they faced off was just coming out of the All-Star break. Very different club for the Dodgers. I don't know, very different, but they do have a couple of legends in Ben Rortvedt and Alex Call, who have had nice postseasons. But joking aside, the Dodgers did get their ass handed to them by the Brewers this season. I don't know about you. Let's go to Jeff on this one. I don't know about you. I don't care about a season record because They're very different ball clubs. Again, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm old enough to remember 1988 when the Dodgers went 1-10 against the Mets and then won the NLCS against them, and then went up against the A's, who had won 10 more games than them in the regular season and won the World Series in 5 games. And unfortunately, as Dodger fans, we've seen the other side of the coin. We've seen the Padres knock the Dodgers out of the postseason after winning 22 fewer games in the regular season. We've seen the Braves do the same thing. We've seen the D-backs do the same thing. We've seen the Nationals do it. If there's one thing we know as Dodger fans, it's that the team with the better regular season record doesn't always win the postseason series. And, you kind of joke about Alex Call and Ben Rortvedt. The Dodgers have also added a couple of guys named Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell since that series against the Brewers. That's, the Dodgers have gotten healthy, especially in the starting pitching department. And, I don't know if you guys saw it, MLB put out their power rankings for the pitchers currently remaining in the postseason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers 4 starting pitchers are all in the top 7. You take all the starting pitchers for the 4 teams left, and the Dodgers, the Brewers' top ranked pitcher is number 8, Freddie Peralta. So all 4 of the Dodgers starters are ranked higher in the power rankings than the Brewers' best starter, which kind of tells you what you need to know about the strength of this Dodgers team.
Yeah, we'll dive into position by position breakdown a little bit later on in the stream. By the way, guys, if you're here, you're watching us live, please like the show, subscribe to the channel. We did hit that 20,000 subscriber mark, but now that just means we got to move the goalposts and try to go for 25,000, but we appreciate you guys. Also, you can watch or listen to the show in this podcast form. Kevin, Jeff mentions Dodgers did not have Blake Snell. They did not have Tyler Glasnow. They also didn't have Roki Sasaki, who has I don't say emerged. He has blown up onto the scene as the lockdown closer for this team, a guy that we all, I think, agree was the NLDS MVP for the Dodgers, an award that does not exist. One of the things, as we kind of want to spin forward a little bit here, looking at some positives, some concerns for this series, I wonder a little bit, are we maybe... Is Roki getting a little overexposed now? He did pitch in 3 of those 4 games. Kevin, what do you think?
No, I don't think so. The Brewers haven't
back
seen
to
him.
The studio.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah. More news at 9. Yeah, they haven't seen him. There's such a thing as getting tape on a pitcher, but really, unless you face the guy and have seen what it looks like out of his hand, seen the break on the split, stuff like that, there's really not much more you can scout against him except for maybe some tendencies. But he's going to be a relief. He's going to be a 1-inning guy, hopefully. I think I would hope he doesn't need to, take down 3 innings again. That was amazing that he did it, but let's try to refrain from doing that. But no, I don't think he's being overexposed. I think it's something where the Brewers will definitely have to have a game plan for him. They're going to have to go into the series thinking, okay, if this gets to the 9th and the Dodgers are up, this is how we have to, attack Roki Sasaki. But I think that's a good thing. I think he's ready for it. The kid looks like he's built for it. I know early you look at him early in the season, he kind of had his jitters. There's that shot of him in the dugout because the dude cares, and now he's just nails.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, I want your thoughts on the Sasaki thing there. We are going to talk roster in just a second. Our assumption is the Dodgers are going to add at least 1 pitcher, potentially 2. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But, Jeff, your thoughts on maybe Roki being overused, overexposed, or do you think it's not really – more work is maybe better for him?
Yeah, I think that's probably the case, that more is better, because I don't think the Phillies struggled against Roki Sasaki because they hadn't faced him before. I think they struggle against him because his stuff is filthy, and when you can throw 101 and have a splitter that will either look like a 12-6 curveball or a nasty nasty screwball or a nasty slider, depending on how he throws it. It's just, Roki's stuff was too much for the Phillies. That's why he was successful against them, and the Phillies are a better hitting team than the Brewers. Different style, and the Brewers are better at some things than the Phillies, but overall, the Phillies are a better offensive team than the Brewers. And if Roki was able to dominate them, I feel good about. I hope he doesn't have to pitch, like 6 out of the 7 games. Well, I hope there's only 4 games, and I hope Roki only has to pitch 2 of them, because the other 2, it's garbage time. And so we see Justin Robleski and Blake Trinan and, Kike Hernandez or whatever.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't have to pitch in the punt game, because we all know there's going to be a punt game because Dave Roberts does that, so we can have a show where people are mad at Dave Roberts, and then we can get back to winning the series a day later or something like that. Another side on the concern, and I don't know if this was a concern, this was me just trying to think aloud, something else to kind of throw in here, but the NLDS between the Cubs and the Brewers, a lot was made of the home field advantage and the loudness at Wrigley Field, and of course the fans. You saw, we were talking just before going live here, Mizorowski, like fist pumping and losing his shit because he got a ground ball like the first or something like that. They're really trying to get the crowd involved. Kevin, we have seen a lot of, you and I particularly on this channel survived the NLDS last year. The Petco Park, loud, raucous, voluptuous, even to throw in there for fun. Do you think the stadium factor, the noise, the fan base will play any sort of role in not deterring the Dodgers, but maybe knocking them off their game? Or are they kind of built and battle tested for a moment like this?
Yeah, I don't think it's really going to play too much of a factor for the Dodgers. They just came out of Citizens Bank Park, which is arguably the most hostile environment in baseball, at least when the crowd is into it. But guess what? The Dodgers shut them down, so the crowd couldn't really get into it. And then on top of that, the beauty of having, some things get made about the Dodgers having a fairly old roster. The beauty of having an older roster is you got a bunch of guys who have been there, done that. I mean, most of this roster was on the World Series roster last year, where they had to go to Yankee Stadium, and that place was loud too. So I don't expect, what is it? It's American Family Park or something, Great American, I don't know, American Family Field.
It's always going to be Miller Park.
Yeah, I know. Did you see Jeff Passan tweeted that Miller Park was really loud, and they had to delete the tweet because he had to change the stadium name because even he still referred to it as Miller.
Corporate shill.
But stadium.
I don't think it could be any worse than Citizens Bank. I don't think it could be any worse than Petco. And when you've got guys on this roster, like I said, who have all of them have played in big games for the most part, outside of. Yeah, pretty much everybody's played in big games. There's really not. If Roki's the young buck at that point, so no, I don't think it'll be too big of a factor. This is a team that's really good at shutting down crowds. Really, honest, if we're talking about it.
Jeff, I already know your thoughts on it. It's going to be something similar to what Kevin said. It's not going to be a factor. So instead, I'm going to ask a different question, and then you could mix in your thoughts on the crowd if you want. Getting into positives for this series, for me. And for a lot of people, Shohei Ohtani, he's pretty good at baseball, but he was kind of nerfed in that series against the Phillies. A lot of tough lefties. You're not going to get that same sort of situation for Shohei and the Milwaukee Brewers. And looking at a positive here, it feels like Ohtani is going to be a factor again in this series. What are your thoughts on Shohei?
Yeah, I sure hope he's going to be a factor. The Dodgers need him to be a factor because, the fact is the Dodgers didn't hit well as a team against the Phillies. And again, I give credit mostly to the Phillies pitchers for that, just like I give credit to the Dodgers pitchers for the Phillies not hitting well. I think people say, Phillies fans think that Harper and Schwarber and Turner all choked in the NLDS. And, I think they got shut down by really good pitching. And the fact is, you could say the same thing. Ohtani didn't choke. He got shut down by really good pitching. And, you could tell that he went outside of himself. He swung at way too many pitches that weren't good pitches to swing at. Hopefully he can do better than that. But like we said the other day, I do think a lot of that had to do with these specific pitchers he was facing.
Yeah.
And so, I think Ohtani is going to be a lot more of a factor. And the good thing about this team is, even though I just said the Dodgers need him to be a factor, the fact is they don't. They just won a series without him being a factor. They won the World Series last year without him being a factor after Game 1. I mean, he did drive in, the tying run in Game 1 of the World Series. Beyond that, it was he was injured. He was a decoy in the lineup, basically.
No, that's
and
his
the Dodgers
dog.
won the World Series.
That's his dog.
Hey, Clint, shut up.
That one was
I thought we were doing a good show today.
That one was too easy. Okay, that one. Go ahead.
But anyway, my point is, when you've got Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, and Teoscar Hernandez, and Andy Paez, and Tommy Edman, and Kike Hernandez, and whoever else, Max Muncy, remember that guy? All these people who can hit the baseball. You don't need Ohtani to carry the team. I would like him to contribute more because I would like fewer close games, honestly. The Dodgers, when they went 0-6 against the Brewers this year, 3 1-run games and 2 2-run games. There was one time they got blown out. The rest of the games, there was a lot of, bullpen issues late in the games. It was very much a lot of close games. And so what I would like this Dodgers offense to do is say, we're not interested in close games so much this series. Let's give our pitching staff a little bit of a break this series, and let's let the bats win this one.
Hey, but when they have that a decent enough lead, we know this bullpen likes to be like, here's a couple of runs to make it interesting. We saw that already in the wild card
which is fine. That's why you go up by 8, so you don't mind to give up a couple.
Yeah, and then the people are mad, and we're still happy, and then we get big shows, and we appreciate everybody hanging out with us and tuning in all postseason long. Kevin, a non-Ohtani X factor for you, offensively in this series.
If on the Dodgers roster or just in general?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't care what your thoughts about the Blue Jays right now.
I think it'll be Max.
I like that.
To tie in my non-Dodgers reason for better offense. The Brewers don't have many killer lefties. Like, all their starters outside of Jose Quintana are right-handed. Mizorowski's right-handed. Uribe is right-handed. They have Garrett Koenig, I think is his name. And then they have another lefty who's also pretty good, Ashby. Ashby's pretty solid too. But those outside, there's 3 lefties you have to worry about. So if you're going to get a bunch of righties, I need the left-handed bat, the big left-handed bat, and Max Muncy to show up. I need him to be good enough to be hitting 5th, and then they have to pitch around him effectively, because then he's going to get something juicy to hit. And we know I think he actually hits pretty well in Milwaukee, if I remember correctly. I actually think he's got good numbers there. So he needs to show up, because we know, we know it's no coincidence that the bats went cold when he got hurt.
Yeah.
The offense was a whole run worse when he was out of the lineup. So if he can get going, that I think if Max Muncy gets going, I don't think the Brewers can stop the Dodgers. Yeah,
Muncy is going to be a very key cog to extending that lineup, and that's what we need to see, and what we're gonna need to see. To Jeff's point, if we're going to put a lot of points on the board, we need to see length in this lineup, not just what we saw a lot of early in the postseason so far with, hero shots from Teoscar Hernandez or something like that. We need more Kike October magic, Keektober magic. We need Freddie Freeman to do some more Freddie Freeman type of things, so on and so forth. But it can't just be all, Mookie and the biggest names to keep this team alive. I mentioned, we're going to have a different looking roster coming up. Before we do talk roster, I want to tell people about Delete Me, because Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everybody vulnerable. You see there on the screen, Delete Me, a proud sponsor of the show. Data brokers make a profit off of you, off of your data. Your data is a commodity, and anybody on the web can buy your private details. That could lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, harassment, those annoying emails, those annoying calls. But now you could protect your privacy with Delete Me. All 3 of us, probably more so Jeff and I. Kevin avoids the internet, except for to post his random things about, Dodgers did this, Dodgers did that. But anyways, maybe all of us, people are going to try to find out where we live or something like that. I don't know. We have an active online presence is what I'm getting to here. Privacy is important to us, and Delete Me helps us feel a little bit more safe and secure with our information out there in the world. And this is world fingers, but take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me now at a special discount for our listeners. Right there, I pointed the correct way. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/hit. That is HIT. Use that promo code HIT HIT at checkout to save 20%. Again, the only way to get 20% off is go to joindeleteme.com/hit. Use that promo code HIT at checkout. Once again, that's joindeleteme.com/HIT, promo code HIT. Thank you much for listening. And guys, let's talk about this Dodgers roster. Initially yesterday, I did have something about the roster where I had my projected roster, and my assumption is there are going to be 2 more pitchers, living healthy pitchers. I listened to Dave, and when he had his availability yesterday, and he mentioned 1 pitcher. Then we all had a discussion before going live, like, it's at least 1 pitcher. So anyways, we have a few examples of projected roster construction here. Let's take a look at this one. A lot of the same names here. The biggest difference is, for me, it's the removal of Dalton Rushing in the lineup. From the position player side of things. And then Ben Kasparius is on this roster for myself. We have another version where Justin Dean is off the roster, and you would also add Will Klein. I would probably venture to say Will Klein would be on before Ben Kasparius, but a lot of talk in there. Jeff, roster thoughts. What do you think happens?
Yeah, we've had a lot of different discussions about different things. You wouldn't think there would be that much drama about what this roster is going to look like when this is their 3rd postseason series this year. It's like, how many changes can you make? But we know they're going to want to add a pitcher or 2. For a 7-game series, it seems to me like they're going to end up adding 2 pitchers.
Yeah.
And I think Klein and Kasparius probably make the most sense. And, one of the catchers coming off the roster makes a lot of sense. If Will Smith is healthy enough to start, you don't need a 3rd catcher. I think there's an argument to be had for keeping Dalton Rushing over Ben Rortvedt, simply because if your backup catcher is never starting a game, which if Will Smith's healthy, that's the plan, then you look at, okay, what does this guy bring off the bench other than being a backup catcher in case of emergency? And the 3 things you can do off the bench is pinch hit, pinch run, or defensive replacement. And, Dalton Rushing has a better arm than Rortvedt. Obviously not as good a defensive catcher as Rortvedt, but, if they're worried about the stolen bases of the Brewers, Rushing is going to be better at neutralizing the running game. He's a better hitter than Rortvedt, and I know Rortvedt did have a good couple weeks, but more potential in that bat.
Yeah.
Rortvedt obviously a better bunter if you bring someone off the bench specifically to bunt, but Rushing could also be a pinch runner. Rushing is not old enough yet to run like a catcher. He's actually the 8th fastest Dodger, just barely behind Alex Call and just a little bit behind Shohei Ohtani, is where Dalton Rushing's sprint speed is. He's ahead of Will Smith, Max Muncy, Kike Hernandez, Mookie Betts, Miguel Rojas, Freddie Freeman. All those guys who are going to be on the roster, now of those guys who you might pinch run for, it's like maybe Kike.
Right.
Yeah.
Kike is maybe the only guy in that bunch who you would pinch. So I don't know that there's a realistic situation that you would use Rushing as a pinch runner, but it's at least a possibility if you do have, if it's Freddie Freeman and it's the winning run, it's the bottom of the 9th inning and Freeman's on 3rd. And it's like, okay, well, who would we rather have trying to score on a sac fly, Freddie Freeman or Dalton Rushing? It's an easy answer,
Yeah,
so
Kim.
It's on Kim, but sometimes he's already been used earlier in the game, and so I think there's an argument to be made. I still expect it to be Rortvedt just because of what he's contributed.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as an easy an answer. I don't think it's just that. I would guess the front office has had all these conversations about there's a case to be made for Dalton Rushing. I think they'll ultimately decide on Rortvedt, but I think it's been an interesting discussion there in the front office.
Yeah, I would say with the Rortvedt side, and Kevin, I'm interested in your side of your interpretation, your opinion on this part of the conversation. But with Rortvedt, Dave pretty much named him the starting catcher at the end of the season over Dalton Rushing, and then obviously Will was out, Dalton was out, both with injuries and all that, and Rortvedt kind of just snuck in and stole all of our hearts and all that. And it's worth reminding everybody the Dodgers are 4-0 this postseason when Ben Rortvedt starts a game behind the plate. That's just for me. The pitchers really seem to love throwing to him. Maybe not so much the bullpen arms, so he needs to get better with those guys. I also understand the other side too, Dalton Rushing. I just think the fact that he's only had, one postseason plate appearance so far, I think it is. As much as your logic is sound, I think Rortvedt has kind of found his way into being one of those postseason like dogs, those dudes that they really like. He is the catching a version of Brent Honeywell for this particular postseason, at least in my opinion. But Kevin, what are your thoughts? Do you think we could see rushing kind of sneak up on us here?
I actually think the Brent Honeywell comparison is apt simply because I think Ben Rortvedt's value literally is without him even being on the roster. I think his value is helping game calling, game planning, things like that. Once you get to the postseason, you have starters and you have role players. And Ben Rortvedt his role isn't needed. They don't need a backup catcher. They need, like Jeff mentioned, pinch hitters, pinch runners, defensive replacements, which you're not going to defensively replace Will Smith. Sorry, like he's still a good catcher. And he has a great arm. He's really good at controlling the running game when the pitcher allows him to. So I don't see the value of Ben Rortvedt sitting on the bench and taking him a spot when, God forbid, we need another left-handed bat and it's Dalton Rushing. Like, if it comes to that, you're probably not in a great spot to begin with, but I would still rather I'd still rather have Dalton Rushing come up to the plate than Ben Rortvedt. That doesn't, but Ben Rortvedt will still travel with the team. Like I said, he'll be able to help with the game planning and game calling. If the pitchers do like him a lot, maybe he can whisper in Will's ear a little bit, saying like, hey, maybe we should try this instead. It's something, there's value there. It's just, I don't think it's sitting on the bench doing nothing.
I do eventually think it's going to be Rortvedt. We know it's not going to be the team carrying three catchers. Will Smith has proven he's healthy enough to start a game, play all 9 innings, plus a couple more innings and all that. So he'll be fine in that regard. He is the better of the 3 options available. Breaking news. Going back a little bit, we had the kind of dialogue about adding 1 pitcher versus 2. Jeff, do you think there's any any potential of them maybe keeping Justin Dean on just to have that very, very weird but potentially useful roster flexibility, and then maybe not having both in our scenario here, Klein and Kasparius on the roster?
I think there's a chance. I also think there's a chance that it's Kim and not Dean who gets bumped off the roster just simply because of position. When you want to take Teoscar out of the game because defense becomes important late in the game, then you need to put in an outfielder. And now you could move Kike Hernandez to the outfield, but and I know people like to argue this, and I'm not going to argue with anybody. Justin Dean is the best defensive center fielder the Dodgers have.
You're going to die on that hill.
Until it stops being correct.
Yeah, statistically, it is a sound hill, but still, people don't. He is not passing the eye test.
The fact that one ball hit off his glove that nobody else would have gotten a glove to, and another ball he bobbled when any other center fielder would have gotten to the wall without being touched, doesn't worry me because the range is there. And so, yes, your best defensive outfield late in the games is Justin Dean in center and Andy Pages in a corner. And so that's why I think they might choose Kim. If we've decided neither guy is ever going to bat, which seems like that's what the Dodgers have decided, neither of these guys is ever going to get in at bat. So it's speed, very similar speed and very similar base stealing ability, and it's defense. And Kim is a better defensive infielder. Dean's a better defensive outfielder. So which one do you need more? So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Kim instead of Dean who gets dropped off. I also wouldn't be surprised just because Kim has been a bigger part of this team that they go that route, because it's like, okay, which guy who's hardly ever going to play deserves to be on the roster more? I don't mind that approach too. But I do think they have to add 2 pitchers. I just think it's going to be 2 pitchers, and when really your options are Kasparius and Klein and Hurt.
Yeah.
And Klein seems like the easy first choice to me now that he's eligible to come back, and Kasparius makes sense too. Although I don't know if any of us totally understand the reasons why Kasparius was sent down, what they worked with him in the minors, all those things, and so we're just guessing at what their mindset on Kasparius is right now. But I would guess we're looking at Klein and Kasparius. And the rest of the pitching staff being the same as it was, even though people in the chat are begging them to leave Kershaw off, begging them to leave Trinan off, whatever. Those guys are going to be on the roster.
Trinan for sure. I would argue that Kershaw would have maybe potentially been off if Tanner Scott were healthy, but the Tanner Scott thing pretty much.
Tanner Scott's ineligible for the roster, so unless
Yeah.
they wanted to do Kyle Hurt too, but you kind of want a long reliever,
I also have a concern. Like if it was Brewstar, that's one thing. Gratterall, he has a bunch of postseason experience, so you have no problem kind of plugging and playing and hoping for the best. But with Kyle Hurt, yeah, he was super good in his small sample size in 23, but we haven't seen him since then. On the Kim over Dean conversation, Nancy Brown had the $10 super chat for us. Thank you, Nancy, saying that she would take Kim over Dean. Where I now start to agree a little bit more on the Dean side is that Kike Hernandez is dealing with apparently some sort of little bit of a knee issue. We saw him grimace and sort of shake out that left leg in that 11th inning at bat, where he did ultimately earn the walk, and the rest is history in Game 4 there at Dodger Stadium. But if Kike is at all limited, Ha-Seong Kim's inability to make me feel comfortable with his ability to play center field or outfield pretty much tells us that Dean would be on the roster, because you need to add a little bit more outfield flexibility, because also Tommy Edman, he is hampered by an ankle. So that's another thing.
We've got breaking news on the
Breaking
Game 1
news.
starters.
Yep, let me pull that up. You want to go ahead and do the big reveal while I...
The Dodgers will be starting Blake Snell in Game 1, which I think is a surprise to almost no one. They had toyed around with the idea of Shohei Ohtani being the starter. Ohtani doesn't make sense to start Game 1, because that would almost guarantee that they'd have to use either a fifth starter or a bullpen game. Pushing Ohtani to either Game 2 or Game 4 gives them much more flexibility in their starting rotation. Mm-hmm. And then the Brewers are going, opener and then Quinn Priester or Jose Quintana.
Interesting.
Quinn Priester had a solid season. Not a ton of underlying stats to suggest that he's actually that good. Jose Quintana had, I think, his best season in a while, but he remains Jose Quintana. And I remember him pitching a really good game against the Dodgers. And so hopefully that means that they would get revenge on him. But yeah, honestly, Freddie Peralta in Game 2, this is kind of the benefit you see of winning your series in 4 games and the other series going 5 games, because that means Freddie Peralta, the only Brewers pitcher who showed up on that top 10 MLB power rankings, you got Jacob Bizarowski, who isn't, for whatever reason, built up to go deep in a game, so he's not a true starter, but Freddie Peralta is their ace, and he can't start Game 1, which puts the Dodgers in a good situation.
And where that's also great for us, for the Dodgers side of thing, is that usually, Dodgers might find themselves in that situation. Even if our series went to Game 5, they would have a frontline dude ready to go for Game 1 or Game 2 or Game 3 or Game 4. They are stacked, and I guess that's as good a time as any to shift into position by position advantages. I think it just makes the most sense to start talk about the starting pitching, because earlier when we were talking about, or I was mentioning like kind of concerns and positives, one of the things I had in the positive, it's like, the pitching feels like it's straight up lacking for Milwaukee. Yes, you have Freddie Peralta, and then scraps that Tony Stark built Iron Man in a cave out of. Could have landed that one better, but Dodgers, if you're looking at that, that pitching staff, that starting rotation, it's elite. It's elite. And Dodgers versus their 2.5 starters, I will take our 4 any day. So if we're getting ahead of ourselves and looking at starting pitching position by position breakdown and advantage, it's your Los Angeles Dodgers. Kevin, thoughts?
They're not many,
obviously.
because they're just the better rotation. It's crazy to, like I've mentioned it before, where we are now compared to the last few postseasons, where we're just trying to scratch and claw a rotation across, and now we have an actual good rotation that you're really comfortable with any of 4, potentially even 5 guys, making a start. So it's a good spot to be. And yeah, it's kind of weird because the Brewers are usually the ones with like the crazy good rotation, but right now without Brandon Woodruff, which he could still make the roster as far as I'm aware, They're kind of the Dodgers of last year. They've only got 2.5 guys. If they go with Quinn Priester, he has been a starter for them, but he got touched up in Chicago in Game 3, and they pulled him after 2/3 of an inning.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, Mizorowski, we're not really sure why. Maybe it's a pitch mix thing, but they only let him really go 3 innings. Probably like they want him to go once through the order. And then other than that, it's Jose Quintana, which, yeah, like Clint mentioned, he's pitched well this year, but it's Jose Quintana at the end of the day. So you have to feel good about the Dodgers rotation. I know a lot of people are like, oh, how do they want to put this together? And I don't think there's really a wrong answer. It's just as long as, you could avoid the bullpen game, which would have had Ohtani starting Game 1. I think anything works.
Jeff, Brandon Woodruff won't be on the roster.
Yeah, okay. Thankfully. They did announce that earlier. I want to take a moment also to shout out Nancy Brown, who was wonderful enough to gift 5 memberships to the YouTube channel. We thank you, Nancy. That is super awesome. You are one of the lucky people to have grabbed the free membership. You get access to our Discord server, so check that out. You should have got some information. Other than that, if you want to sign up and help support independent Dodgers coverage here online, and more importantly for you, get access to our Discord server, go check out patreon.com/realfrg or click the join button here on YouTube. All those links are in the description. It's $5 a month. What better time than now to spend a couple of bucks, join a community, win a World Series, all that kind of stuff, and support the boys here on the screen. Dodgers pitching better. Looked earlier at the numbers. Funny enough, statistically pretty close. Dodgers starting ERA a little bit inflated because of missing Blake Snell and the other guy, Tyler Glasnow, for a good chunk of the season. Bullpen ERA, that not necessarily indicative of the guys that we have on this roster, but shifting forward from the starting pitching side to the bullpen side, it kind of feels to me like it's Roki versus a bunch of good but not great options. Jeff, opinions?
Yeah, the Brewers definitely have the bullpen edge. But the Dodgers bullpen, you look even in that Phillies series, Kershaw had a bad game. Trinan had a bad game. And in the Red series, you had Edgardo had a bad game, and Vesia had kind of a bad game one time. It's not like the whole bullpen has been terrible lately, but there's definitely enough question marks, enough people that you're not thrilled about that. Yeah, it's hard to feel super confident. Really, the key for this Dodgers bullpen is going to be the starting pitching and the offense, making it so that they don't have a lot of high leverage situations.
Worth noting on the Brewers side of thing, of course, they had which one is it? Is it Tyler McGill was their closer?
Trevor McGill.
Trevor McGill. He is back. He pitched as an opener for them in that Game 5, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But he was a closer a majority of the season. Then he got injured, and that kind of opened the door for them to find another guy to pick up the 9th inning, because we know really saves in the closer doesn't mean that much, and it means even less in October. So they probably feel a lot better about the state of their bullpen with those guys kind of having McGill back, who's the guy that they kind of had turned to as their closer? Uribe. That's right, Uribe.
He's really good. Really, really good.
Admittedly, I know very little to nothing about him, but I'm looking forward to seeing the Dodgers hit some dingers off. Jeff, who was that guy who was on
Jeremy
the Brewers?
Jeffress?
Yes. I want him to be the new Jeremy Jeffress. Thank you very much. Kev.
I didn't need the whole sentence. I knew where you were going.
Synergy. Kevin, any quick thoughts on the bullpen side of things before we shift into the fun stuff, which is, position players and all that?
I think it's closer than people are going to give the Dodgers credit for. I do think the Brewers do have a better bullpen. It's definitely a deeper bullpen. But I think when you're looking at what you really need is a top-heavy bullpen, the Dodgers have that. They have a top-heavy bullpen. You've got 3, maybe 4 guys, if you're including Anthony Bonda against left-handed hitters, that you really like. And I think that's really all they need with this starting pitching staff, which is awesome. Still can't get over that because it's been too long. But no, the Brewers can definitely put together a complete game with their bullpen. It is that good. And yeah, if it's Trevor McGill, if it's Abner Uribe, like they've got absolute gas in the 9th inning with some just disgusting breaking stuff. So it will be fun because we will definitely see, Shohei, Mookie, Freddie face these guys, and those are going to be some really fun at-bats.
Get to them early, knock out your starters, get them all gassed, overexpose their bullpen, and it could feel a whole lot like that 2018 postseason for the Dodgers, where they just had a slightly more talent to outlast the Brewers back then. That's worth noting. The odds makers do like the Dodgers in this series. This is for game 1. Dodgers minus 152 favorites on the money line over with our friends at FanDuel. Brewers plus 128, and then the World Series odds, Dodgers still favored there over on FanDuel plus 110. Brewers all the way down at plus 480. If any of that means anything to you guys, Jeff, does that mean anything to you? Any of it?
Yeah, it does. And the one you miss is that on the screen is for game 1.
That's
Dodgers are even heavier favorites to win the series. Dodgers are at minus 205 to win the series. So, the odds makers definitely look at the full structure. The Brewers are trying to follow the Dodgers pattern from last year. Hey, we don't have any starting pitchers, but we have a bunch of good relievers. Will that work? And that approach usually doesn't work, but it did work as recently as 12 months ago. And so it's not a crazy idea for them to go for it. But this Dodgers rotation was built for October. And I think that's why we're seeing those odds that we're seeing over at FanDuel.
Appreciate FanDuel for being a presenting partner here on all Dodgers, all through the postseason, all through the offseason, so on and so forth, hopefully through another World Series ring. Let's look back at series positional advantages. You see MLB.com has it's Will versus Will here for the catchers. They do have William Contreras over Will Smith, who I would take Will Smith if he's fully healthy, but we don't know quite where he's at. But Kevin, what do you like about the Dodgers trying to find an edge here, or do you buy into what MLB.com and their experts have to say about it?
About the whole thing, or just the catchers?
Just particularly catchers, focusing on the catchers.
Just the catchers. I would say William Contreras is probably a better defensive catcher, specifically when it comes to blocking, framing, and stuff like that. I think Will has a better arm. I would take Will Smith. He's just he's like a top. Yeah, right. He's just a top 20 bat, 25 bat in baseball. William Contreras has been in the past, but was not this year. Will Smith is still, I just think, a more valuable player. So I would have gone Will Smith. I'm very surprised they went with Contreras, but if I'm being honest, they probably were like, all right, we got to give the Brewers at least one more. Otherwise, this looks ridiculous. And so they slipped in. William Contreras is a good catcher. There was an argument that he was the best catcher in baseball about a year ago, but I don't think he's as good as Will Smith right now.
It's probably pretty close to a push. Jeff, I want your thoughts for a second. I'm here. Pretty close to a push there. Jeff, I want your thoughts on the catchers for a second, but I do want to derail for a second. I don't know, maybe Kevin can't hear this, but Swell and Sausage did ask, did he get over that Cubbies loss yet? So I just wanted to make sure I got that in there. A little bit of a burn, Kevin, and his favorite team, the Chicago Cubs, lost. But anyways, Kevin probably can't hear us, so Jeff, give me your thoughts on the...
Rude.
Yeah, on the thing.
I'm kind of enjoying watching him just look confused there. I think right now it makes sense to have Contreras over Smith because of Smith's health situation.
Yeah.
The fact that we haven't seen him fully, we saw him get a huge hit off of Orion Kerkering in the NLDS, but overall we haven't seen Smith prove that he is fully healthy. So I think it makes sense to take Contreras there. But I think the fact that it took Smith being hurt to give them that spot is definitely true.
Yeah. Again, I think it's as close to a push as you can get, but Contreras is good, and he leads that pitching staff. Same way Will leads his. He has led that Brewers pitching staff, pretty solidly for a very just baseline solid ball club that are the Brewers, even though they also have the best record in the National League. Moving on to first base, I think we would be morons to give it to anybody but Freddie Freeman.
Do the Brewers have a first baseman? Who is it?
I really don't know, man.
Isn't it?
That's right. It's
Vaughn.
Vaughn. It is. I think it is partially Andrew Vaughn.
Andrew Vaughn, that's right.
Yeah.
And he turned into Babe Ruth this year with them. So
All you need to do is just get DFA'd by the White Sox, and all of a sudden, you're just locked in. 64 games with the Brewers. Andrew Vaughn posted an 869 OPS with 9 homers. 4 for 14 in the postseason. Looking at this, a couple of homers there in a platoon with Jake Bauers. So yeah, either way, I take Freddie Freeman. Even if we haven't seen the full Freddie so far this postseason, I'm taking Freddie Freeman. Jeff, I imagine you're not very far off from taking Freddie yourself.
Yeah, I think Freddie's pretty good at baseball.
Pretty good.
That's
right.
my hot take for today.
Kevin?
I'm just looking because Andrew Vaughn was really good for his first few weeks with the Brewers.
I think it's all
so I was
They'd have a cold stretch.
Yeah. So the last month and a half of the season, he was still fine. He had a 704 OPS with 0 home runs the last month and a half of the season. If I remember, I didn't pay a lot of attention to the Brewers Cup series, but he did homer twice in that series.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe he's back to being hot Andrew Vaughn. But a lot of his numbers were because of that first month or so that he was with the Brewers.
Yeah, the thing is, he's never won a World Series game on a walk-off homer, and Freddie has. So again, I take the experience. Yeah, it's a pretty important one. Kevin, I already got your thoughts on that, so we can move on. Let's speed round a little bit here. Second base and third base. They have the Brewers. I agree with that. I think Bryce Terang has been very good, very consistent. The Dodgers, obviously, we can believe in Tommy Edman because we've seen him produce for this team. He was the National League MVP the National League Championship Series MVP a year ago. But he is also a little bit hampered with that ankle. We haven't seen the same kind of offensive production from him that we saw last year. It could happen at any point in time. But if it's not him, it's Miguel Rojas, and still just those dudes. That it's not a platoon, but that tandem isn't, in my opinion, better than Bryce Terang. Kevin.
No, Bryce Terang is the straw that stirs the Brewers' drink right now. He's great at getting on base. He's great on the base paths. The Dodgers will have to do a good job of keeping him off first base, because if he's on first, it's pretty much he's going to end up on second, with how some of the Dodgers don't like holding runners.
Jeff, you have any thoughts on that? You just want to kind of move forward to the third base side? And
I'll just point out, you can't spell NLCS without 2 of the letters in Thomas Edman. Sorry. Had to do the Thomas because there's only 1 in Tommy Edman. I think Terang's the right answer there, but that's if Edman doesn't decide to be NLCS Edman,
I'll give you that. Does that work? Is it kind of? It's not really a joke. Anyways, third base. Dodgers have Max Muncy. Of course, he is Max Muncy. He has done things in the postseason as well. Feels like a while since he's done some things versus whatever a Caleb Durbin is. I think he's a rookie for the team this season. Pretty decent defender at third base, but other than that, if you're looking at MLB.com, they're giving it to Muncy. They're saying the experience plays over the potential upside for Durbin. Jeff, your thoughts on third base?
Muncy's taller, and Muncy can't say that about many people in baseball, but he is taller than Durbin. Muncy right now. Durbin is one of those guys who I was talking about who 5 years from now they might be big names. Durbin was the key return in their what's his name? The pitcher they
Corbin
traded,
Burns?
Devin Williams.
Oh,
the Devin Williams trade. Patrick Durbin. No, what's his name?
Caleb
Durbin.
Caleb Durbin
Was the key return. Too many names. There's a lot of potential there, but right now he hasn't shown that he is at Max Muncy's level.
It is crazy that this is a team that traded away Corbin Burns, their former Cy Young Award winner, asterisk a little bit, and Devin Williams, and they're still this good. They still were the best team in the National
and lost
League
Willie Adames.
And lost Willie Adames. Great point.
And they traded Josh Hader not long before that.
Yeah. Just got to get rid of the talent. You get better all of a sudden. Kevin, add into the mix alongside Max Muncy. There's also the Kike Hernandez factor where, hey, there's more of that postseason experience versus, Taylor, Caleb, whatever name we're going with Durbin here. You taking Max as well?
Yeah. Caleb Durbin's a decent bat, hits much more for average than he does for pop. In the postseason, give me a guy who can hit dingers at the rate that Max Muncy can. dingers, and Max Muncy getting on base. I know his average hasn't been great, but he's still drawing walks. His at-bats still look good. So I think Max is a criminally underrated third baseman in baseball.
Yeah, I just like him to not use that glove that has the spring in it, like we saw in Game 3 of the NLDS. Back into the let's move into the outfield here. We got the left field. Starting with left field, that's some combination of Kike Hernandez and Alex Call versus the kind of wonderkin there in was it Jackson Churio?
Yeah.
I agree with you. The advantage going to the Brewers there. He's just really good. And if you're talking about Terang being the straw that stirs the Brewers' drink, this might be the cup that holds the drink.
What about Keektober?
Definitely.
There's Keektober. There's your experience there. Not experience for Alex Call, but experience on the Kike Hernandez side. But also he is somebody who might be a little hampered by a knee injury. And Churio, the kid seems like he really likes some big moments.
He does, and he does everything well.
Yeah.
And when you watch him play, I don't know, outside of the 6 games, if anybody else has watched much Brewers baseball, you will be shocked to realize he's only 21 years old. The way he takes at bats, how good he is in the outfield, he's pretty special. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch in the coming years.
Jeff, you have any thoughts on left field before we go back to shortstop? Because I forgot it, even though we could just say it's an absolute wash that it's Mookie Betts over Joey Ortiz. Or I think they signed him out of like a Whole Foods.
Hey, the Brewers broadcasters are really excited about Joey Ortiz with bases loaded. Apparently that's a thing. I remember one time Giants announcers referring to Andre Ethier with his walk-off ability, referring to him as the what was the name of that dude who played for the Giants and it was bad, but he was good for them? Anyway,
a lot of
some guy who had like one big hit for them, one big walk off, and so like Giants announcers were convinced that guy was the walk off king. I think it's the same way with Joey Ortiz and baseball. Yeah, Mookie.
Are you talking about Lamont Wade?
No,
long before
earlier.
That. Yeah,
guy had been on the A's, I think. It almost came to me it occurred to me when it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. I don't know that it ever mattered, but
Mookie Betts is better than Joey Ortiz, and Jackson Churio is probably the right choice in left field.
Yeah, that's definitely breaking news there. Mookie Betts, the shortstop. Both of them very, very good defenders, by the way. Mookie finished the season, I think it was
most outs above average.
It was
Marco Scutaro. Marco Scutaro.
Yeah, there's the name.
Yeah, I remember hearing Giants announcers refer to Andre Ethier as the Marco Scutaro of the Dodgers.
That's Captain Clutch. Put some respect on Captain Clutch's name. Center field. This feels like it should be far and away Andy Pages if he's anything like we saw during the regular season. I don't even say a deep dive. I finally, for the first time in a while, looked at Andy Pages' month-by-month numbers. Bro was carried by an insane month of May, I think it was, May or June. Otherwise, relatively pedestrian. Still, he's got the arm in center. His routes are looking a little bit better in center. We know he can run into a baseball. We know he loves meaningless home runs in the National League Championship Series. If we could turn those into meaningful home runs, maybe he'll have a better series over whatever a Blake Perkins and Brandon Lockridge are. For the Brewers.
Former Padre Brandon Lockridge.
Blake Perkins is very good defensively, and he's probably a better hitter than Justin Dean, but definitely not. He's probably roughly equivalent to what Andy Pages has been recently. So if Pages can be anything like real Pages, he should definitely win the center field battle.
I just want to throw out quickly, too. I'm not trying to sit here in my mom's basement and disrespect the Brewers. I have zero reason to pay attention to the Brewers outside of 6 games a year. I have other things in my life that I would like to do outside of paying attention to the Dodgers very closely. I want to go and live my life. So I don't know any of your players. I'm not saying they're bad players or bad people. I just don't know them. So when I see a name, Blake Perkins, who I think his brothers have a construction company on YouTube as well. It's a joke for people who are on YouTube. I don't know these dudes. I'm sure they're good players, living players, but not disrespecting the Brewers. They are a very good baseball team. Kevin, your thoughts on center before we shift to right field and Teo versus insert name here.
Andy Pages has to
South
play something close to Andy Pages. I mean, they batted him 9th in Game 4 for a reason. Like he has looked awful.
Yeah.
So if
That
they
looked good.
honestly left him off this list, I would not be surprised. I actually am a little surprised he's on the list still with how bad he has looked, or at least his recent vintage has.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, defense doesn't really slump, and he has got better at defense. The dude's got to wake up. They need his bat. He cannot be an automatic out.
He just won the game with a walk-off the other day. Come on, guys.
True. Yeah, he's what was his name? What was the guy you mentioned earlier?
Kirkring?
No, the Giants guy.
Marco Scooter of our day.
Yeah,
what was the exit velocity on that?
It was like 63 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's right. Listen, it's all about how you use it, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about how you use it. We know he can be good. We know he can be better than those names that I already forgot. I should know Sal Frelick. I didn't know where he played. I know the name, but apparently he plays right field for the Brewers this season. Teoscar Hernandez has played right field for the Dodgers this season, and we know in the postseason, Teo has done a lot of giveth and taketh away. I think the ledger's a little bit balanced right now, but we need to see more of what we saw in the first 4 games for Teoscar Hernandez, Jeff.
Yeah, when you're talking about one of your star players, you're not looking for a balanced ledger. You're looking for, you want to be in the black by a lot. And that's what they need from Teoscar Hernandez is a little bit better defense, a little bit better luck on balls hit to him on defense, and a whole lot more on offense.
What do you got for us there, Kevin, on the right field side?
On the right field side, I like Teoscar. Sal Frelick is a good right fielder. He's a much more complete right fielder, I would say. He's a better defender. He's a better base runner. That being said, Teoscar is absolutely disgusting at the plate when he's right. So I would also – I think that one's close, but I would lean Teoscar because I think the importance of the long ball hitting for power in the postseason, like power is king here. Home runs are king in the postseason. So I think that kind of gives Teoscar the edge. Although this is no disrespect towards Sal Frelick. I think he just came off like a 3-WAR season. He's a very good baseball player. I value Teoscar's power a little more.
So that gives us, I think we could all say with gusto that even a 143 hitting Shohei Ohtani is the better DH between him and Christian Yelich and Yelly. Jeff.
Yelly's had a great year.
He had a great year, but it's still he's not Shohei Ohtani. So
yeah,
give the advantage there. Give the advantage there.
Hashtag math, baby.
They should honestly put Ohtani as the DH and have his picture as the starting pitcher. Because that's
flex on him.
He is.
Flex
a little bit.
So if we're doing that position by position there, the Dodgers have the 8-4 advantage because hashtag math baby. If I did it right, I don't know. I was trying to count, and I'm not good at counting while also listening to Kevin's takes because that's painful as it is. I'm pooping on the kid there.
Wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
We did get more breaking news. If I can find the correct button here, more breaking news. Yamamoto will start Game 2. There was a little bit of conversation about potentially seeing Shohei Ohtani pitch Game 2, so there's a day off after the fact, but I'm not overly worried about that. I think Shohei's pretty built up to be able to start Game 3 at Dodger Stadium, or if it's Game 4, however they decide to deploy him. If it's Game 4 and the Tyler Glasnow is Game 3 and then he pitches Game 4 and you sweep the series, then he doesn't need to pitch on Game 5, which would also incidentally be the day of my birthday party where I will not be doing any work. So there are those thoughts there.
And that'll be different than most days. How?
I carry this show.
It'll be Ohtani in Game 4, almost assuredly. If they pitch him in Game 3, they would then have to throw a bullpen game or carry a 5th starter for Game 5. So it'll be Ohtani Game
4. That's my guess. Yeah, it had to be either 2 or 4 for Ohtani. So if Ohtani's not going Game 2, it seems like it's got to be Game 4.
Yeah. Before we get some predictions, guys, load up your predictions, guys, and the people in the chat, load up predictions as well. We have super chats. Appreciate people hanging out with us a whole bunch here. We didn't know how a 3 p.m. show would do on Sunday. It's done really well. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Give you guys the clap because everybody here deserves it. Much earlier in the chat, Seth Klein with the $5 super chat. Not a fan of the start of these games in the series here. Why do they always schedule our games so darn early? I think it's a 5 p.m. start for game one.
The challenge is
LA time.
Yeah, and mostly I think he's probably worried about game 3, which is a 3 p.m. game in LA. And the challenge there is you got games in LA and Seattle on the same day. And so, somebody's got to play the early game. And the fact the Dodgers only got one early game. Want. We do. I will hopefully be at that game.
That's the one.
So it doesn't matter too much to me, I guess. But it'll be interesting to see because the trolls of other fan bases who have nothing to do but talk about the Dodgers because their teams are no longer playing. They had a lot to say about empty seats at Dodger Stadium, with nothing much to say about how many empty seats are currently at Petco Park. Guess what? All of them. So
they do concerts there.
But it is not right now. I checked.
Did you see you can still go see a concert at Petco and get yourself a Padres postseason cup, collector's cup?
Giving those away.
Oh, good old stuff.
Thoughts and prayers. By the way, I will also be at that Thursday game as media covering the game for Make Plays Media, Foul Territory, Dodgers Territory. So if you guys see me out there, don't buy me a beer. I can't drink. I would technically be working, but I get to go to the game for free. That is, I guess, cool. I got to battle LA traffic, though. $5 from Cole much earlier says Glasnow pitched 2 times against the Brewers, 11 innings, 1 run. The Pen gave up most of those games against the Brewers. Not worried. Did he pitch against the Brewers this year?
So according to Cole, he did. I'll look right now.
All right, good. And then we'll move on, and then we'll come back to that one. Another one, Seth. He's coming in hot here, by the way, and also getting us a prediction much earlier in the show. $10 super chat from Seth Klein. Appreciate you, buddy. He says Dodgers love the gentleman's sweep. Dodgers in 5, and that would play with my concept that there will be another punt game in there because everybody loves a good punt game. You got the number?
Yeah. Cole's correct. Everything he said was right. 11 innings, 1 earned run, 6 hits, 11 strikeouts, 4 walks.
So you lied to us.
So, I guess I was wrong earlier when I said that Dodgers didn't have Glasnow when they faced the Brewers. I know they didn't have Snell at the time, but I think that was when Glasnow first came. In fact, I think his first start back.
It was his first start back.
First start back was against the Brewers, and then his
second start.
So back-to-back starts. His first 2 starts back from the injured list were both against the Brewers, and he did pretty darn good.
You know what? You know what happens? You guys know it now. When you're wrong or maybe you're a little too drunk, you get DFA'd, and Jeff's going to get DFA'd for at least a couple of minutes here just for no reason. I had to wait for him to look back at the screen to see himself DFA'd for being wrong, getting misinformation. There's no such thing as misinformation on the internet.
Now DFA yourselves for not correcting me. So that was a test, and you guys failed.
All right, he is an American. I'm proud of him here. Francisco Diaz, $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Francisco, for always being a great supporter. Snell announced the game 1 starter. He's saying, well, this is before we had the other news. I would go with Yama in game 2, so they're both lined up for games 5 and 6 if necessary. Hopefully no game 5 necessary. We want a Dodgers sweep. That would be fun, although I guess I would get more. Well, if they sweep, that means they're winning on my birthday, and they're partying on my birthday, and I will be there for that one. So that's just the thing. But yeah, with all the starting pitching the Dodgers have, they are in a prime position here. Another $2. That must have been payday for Seth. $2 super chat from Seth Klein says for Jeff's dad jokes. You got a good dad joke for us right now?
He misspelled hilarious. I had a really good joke that I texted my daughter one time. I'm like, did I ever tell you about the girl I almost married before I married mom? And she's like, no. And so I texted this big long thing, and the punchline was just the opening lines to Cotton Eye Joe.
Where did she come
but
from?
it was pretty good.
It's pretty good. Yeah, that one he gets the clap for him. And the final super chat we had on here today, also from Francisco, $4.99. Thank you very much, sir. I think I pushed all the right buttons. Are you guys worried about Ohtani and Freddie coming in to the series cold offensively? Not going to lie, it's keeping me awake a little later at night than I want. I am worried less because the Brewers, as we've talked about in the show, the Brewers do not have Jesus Lizard. They don't have Ranger Suarez. They don't have Christopher Sanchez, all of whom are very elite lefty relievers. Sanchez with that kind of, lower arm slot, very much.
Don't worry, people. Clint meant starters. He doesn't have to DFA himself.
What did I say?
You said relievers.
Yeah, they all look the same.
Like a noob.
All right, fine. I'll hold on. Wait, I have a button somewhere. I'll go ahead and DFA myself. Go ahead, gentlemen. Continue on.
Hey, before we go, before we do our predictions, I just want to say thank you all for being in here today. I know Clint already thanked you guys. Today was a terrible day for me.
Yep.
And I almost wasn't here, and I'm not going to get too emotional here, but my best friend / cousin died this morning, and I wasn't going to be here, but I love talking Dodgers with you guys, so thank you for being here. He was going to go to the game with me on Thursday. Now he's not, but huge Dodger fan like me, and I appreciate you guys letting me take my mind off it until I made the conscious decision to put my mind back on it just now by talking about it. So Dodgers in 4.
Dodgers in 4, man. We got NS and condolences there. We got prayers from Nando. Probably also a DFA Kershaw in there. But yeah, I was happy that
you got that in earlier.
Happy that you were able to join us, Jeff, because it wouldn't have been the same having this series preview. Plus, they seem to play well when we have a series preview. So it's an important part, when you're superstitious or even a little stitious, you got to keep doing what works. Kevin, thoughts, predictions? What do you got?
Prayers. I'll do Dodgers in 5. I have a hard sweeps are hard for me to call because I think every team at this point is a good baseball team. So I think it'll be Dodgers in 5, but it's a very confident 5.
Yeah, I got a few people in here. 8-5. By the way, I just put up Cole's $2 super chat. Says prayers, Jeff. Appreciate that. A lot of people giving Jeff some love in the chat. Amanda, sympathy for you and yours, Jeff. And that's what I told Jeff. Kevin and I both probably a little more hungover. We weren't even 100% certain we wanted to do a show today, but we were going to trudge forward either. Well, I was definitely hungover. Actually, I slept poorly. That's my thing. You know what? I got Dodgers in 6. I think this one is the Phillies were the better team that they faced this postseason, but the Brewers are still a very good, very sound baseball club. They do have some talent, and I think Pat Murphy finds a way to get a couple of gritty wins against the Dodgers. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a sweep. I hope it's in 5. Anyways, so that's what I got. We got other people in the chat here. Ramble Ron, Dodgers in 5. Says Tommy Tanks MVP. Kevin, did you open a window?
I blinded myself. The remote of the whatever.
OCJ, Doyers in 6. Brilliant minds think alike. And game 1 tomorrow, we will be here with the post game. Alana and I will be live on Dodgers territory with a post game as well. Well, we'll keep it going. Content all postseason long after every single game. We'll find more opportunities to do content in between games as well. But guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with us here on the Sunday or listening on your ride to work on Monday or wherever you're listening or deciding to digest this content. We appreciate you guys. To my screen right are, of course, Snydog, Jeff Snyder. Give him a follow on the social media. Send him love. Send him money. Don't send him weird pictures because that would be weird. Kevin likes those, though. Skinner7 Kevin on the social media. All Dodgers is presented by FanDuel, part of the Bleav Network podcast. We got one more super chat before we get out of here. $20 from our friend Kevin Uhas. Our favorite Kevin here on the All Dodgers podcast is $20. Jeff, sorry about your friend. It's never easy, but he's in blue heaven now. Chopping it up with Scully. You're a trooper. Dodgers in 6. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Also, shout out Delete Me. What else? Join us on Patreon. All that kind of stuff. Jeff, final words? Just bye.
Go Dodgers. Bye.
Bye.